All right, let's talk about something that's absolutely key to making any project work. Stakeholder management. We're gonna start right at the beginning from square one. And look, it's not because this stuff is simple. It's because getting these fundamentals right, well, it changes everything. Okay, let me ask you a question, a really important one. Think about any project you've ever worked on, or maybe one you're on right now. Who are the people who can literally make it a huge success, or just kill it completely? The answer to that question? It all starts with getting a handle on stakeholder management. And trust me, this isn't just some boring business buzzword. It's a real practical way to make sure your project is built to succeed from day one. All right, so let's get into it. You know, with any new skill, you gotta learn the language first, right? We can't really manage anyone if we're not all on the same page about what we're even talking about. So first up, let's nail down a couple of key definitions. Okay, first up, the big one, a stakeholder. Now, this definition is probably way broader than you think. We're not just talking about your boss or your main client. Nope, it's anyone. Users, suppliers, government regulators, even local community groups. But here's the part you really gotta pay attention to, that last bit. Perceive themselves to be affected. Because let me tell you, when you're managing a project, someone's perception, that's your reality. You have to deal with it. So that leads us right into the next term, stakeholder management. And this is super important. This is not a one and done thing. You don't just check a box and move on. It's a process, something you're doing constantly. It's all about communication and, yeah, sometimes negotiation that starts the minute the project kicks off and doesn't stop until it's delivered.
All right, so we've got the what down. The definitions are clear. Now let's switch gears and get practical. Let's talk about the how. What's the very first thing you actually do? This is the moment we go from just talking about it to actually doing something. And it's pretty simple when you think about it, right? You can't manage your stakeholders if you have no idea who they are. This is the bedrock, the move that everything else is going to be built on.
And here's your first mission, should you choose to accept it.
Identify them. Your job right out of the gate is to brainstorm, to do some digging, and to make a list of every single person or group that fits that definition we just talked about. Before you do anything else, you've got to know who all the players are.
Okay, so mission one is identification. But here's the thing, you can't just guess, right? Great projects aren't built on guesswork. We need a real method, a proper tool to get this done right. So that brings us to the obvious next question. How do you actually do it? How do you go from this kind of fuzzy idea of people involved to a solid written down list? What's the technique? The answer is a process called stakeholder analysis. Think of it like the engine that powers this whole identification thing. It's the framework, the structured way of thinking that makes sure you don't accidentally forget someone who could be, well, really important. And this really shows you how it all fits together, right? The analysis is the thing you do, it's the process. And the result of that process, that's your list of identified stakeholders. So analysis is the work, and the list is what you get for it. Simple as that. Whew. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground pretty fast. So let's just pause for a second and lock in the main points. Here's a quick summary of what you really need to take away from this. Think of this as your starting checklist. First, you've got to know those key definitions. What's a stakeholder? What's stakeholder management? Got it? Second, always remember your very first move is identification. And third, the tool you're going to use to do that is analysis. So definitions, action, tool. That's your starting point. So imagine you've done it. You've run your analysis, you've got your list of stakeholders. Awesome. That first super important step is behind you. But a list is just a list, right? The real work, the really interesting part, begins with the next question. So you've identified them. Now what?